Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a more difficult pattern. This is a frustration level of about 3 or maybe higher, but we've done all of these steps before. We're just going to put them all together now. Okay, so the materials that we need and are going to be, we need a hook, and I'm going to use a Hemingway number H123. This is a size 16. This is a standard barbless dry fly hook. Very sharp hooks, very nice. We're going to use some, I have some tan thread here. It's nice. This is like 16-aught tan or brown thread. For the body, we're just going to use super fine dubbing, and we're going to make this olive. For the rib, we're going to use Grizzly Hackle. I'm not going to use this one, obviously. It's way too big for this hook. And for the hackle at the front, we're going to use Ginger Hackle, but I'm not going to use this one either because this one is a little bit too big also. But for our wings, we're going to use, the books call for Mallard flank, and here I have a pair of snow geese, and we're going to use a right and a left, and you can see how they match up. You can tell that they're rights and lefts, just right of curves in them. Can't really see it that great on there, but if you don't have mallard flank or snow goose or goose, and that, I'll admit the snow goose is a little dark, but you can use turkey quill, and this is a wing feather. You could get a right and a left, but if you don't have both rights and lefts, what you would do is just take a larger piece of that turkey quill, and before you tie it in, you just take a larger piece and then you fold it in half, and you'll have 2. Like for instance, this one. I'll just show you this one here. I'm going to cut this off. So I cut that off. And then you want to kind of line the tips up. And then you just simply fold that in half. And then you'd have your wing to tie on. I didn't get that fold perfect, but there we go. And then I would have my wing to tie on there. You get your hook inside to split them, or you can just cut 2 smaller slips. That is, if you don't have a right and a left. So I'm going to put that turkey feather on the side right now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a base of thread on there, and we start behind the eye of the hook, and then we're going to take it back to where, just about inside the point of the hook, or to where the barb would be if you're using a barbed hook. But just inside the point is generally a good spot. On a lot of the books, especially the old ones like I have, it's got to be 30 years old, it says to bring your thread back to the barb, and that was mostly they were using mustad hooks. So if you're using mustad hooks, you can't go wrong with them. They're really, really good hooks. But the shape of them was a little different. So when you came back to the barb, you would actually still be on the flat section. So basically, we don't want to go past the flat section. So that's why I say just inside the point of the hook. Now the first thing we're going to put on is a rib. And this rib I'm going to use I'm going to show you here. I'm going to use that Grizzly Hackle. And here is a cape. Here's a Grizzly cape. Let me widen that out. So here's the Grizzly cape. And, you know, up here, we're going to get down here. This is a size 16. But when we're making the Henryville special, it's probably a good idea to go with a size 18 hackle for the body. It's a little bit smaller. And I see a nice one right here. And on the capes, most of your usable dry fly material is going to come from about the bottom 1/3 of that hackle. And all of this up here at the top, that's all going to be streamers or tails, or also wing tips. You're tying, if it calls for a grizzly, your pattern calls for a grizzly hackle tip. There you go, you take them off of that. But I got this hackle, and I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to give it the crew cut. Well, I pulled 2. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to give that the crew cut. I'm going to zoom back in there. So now, and we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to palmer this, meaning a barber pole style open spiral. So we don't need a real lot. So I'm going to stand up that end section there and stand it up on that 90 degree. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cut it to length. And then I'm going to hold it this way, and I'm going to cut it from this side. And you can see how that the scissors pushed them out of the way there a bit. And to stop that push, actually cutting them in this direction actually stops that push a bit. But if you could get that push to push against your finger, you'll be able to get that hackle trimmed nicely. And this one, I don't need to trim it down because it's going to be hidden in the body. So we're going to tie this in, and what I'm going to do is we're going to leave a couple of those crew cut barbels exposed off the end. So there's the thread. You can see the thread. We're going to leave a couple of those exposed off the end. Just got to get a little tighter grip. Now I'm going to take a loose loop. That means put it between your fingers, and then you could make this all loose and pull it straight down. And then you can go ahead and give it a couple more wraps there, and you can clearly see the exposed hackle off the end. There's the exposed crew cut off of that one. And we only need a couple, 3 or 4 wraps to hold it down. Now I'm going to take the olive dubbing, and we don't want this to be real skinny, but remember what I always say, you can always add more. Going to turn my hook upside down so I can get my fingers in there closer. Get a little bit of moisture on my fingers, just off the corners of my mouth. And we're going to get that noodle made. Said I usually get the top and then stretch it and get the bottom and then get the middle. We're going to see how far this will go. This is a bit of a skinny noodle. I come back a little bit first. There we go. And then we can go forward with it. Make a pudgy little body there. And I need more. You can always add more and turn that back over again. Take a little bit of the dubbing, connect it a little on the top, stretch it to the bottom, and then get the middle. We're going to go ahead and wrap this. And we're going to stop at about 2 eye lengths from the eye of the hook, because we have to remember we have to put in a wing, and we have to put in the front hackle, and we have to put in the most important part of the Henryville special I didn't mention was we have to put antenna in there, and that will be mallard flank or wood duck flank. Now we hold it there, and we're going to wrap our body hackle. And now, because we had the crew cut exposed, we don't have any hackles shooting to the back. So we're going to get a whole wrap right there at the back. Actually, almost 2. And then we're going to palmer that forward. And about 3 wraps should get it. Right there, we're going to hold our hackle down at a 90 degree, this part here. And we're going to wrap that in. 3 wraps is about all you need. Now I'm going to pull this hackle back, and I'm going to wrap a couple right in front, almost on top of it. And that's going to be secured there. Take your poke and snip cuticle trimmer, push that thread out of the way with your finger, and get in there and just poke and snip it. Now we're going to take our mallard flank, and we're going to take a few of these, 5 or 6 maybe, not a real lot, but you do want it to be seen. Just 5 or 6 barbels. Go ahead and stand them up at that 90 degrees so that they're aligned, and pull them off. Now there's going to be a natural curve in that, and take that natural curve so it curves down over the body. And you could get that and kind of wiggle it in between the hackle barbels that are on top. There we go. We'll get it right down in there. Now when I hold it, I'm just going to hold the hackle on the top. Hold the flank and the hackle barbels on top of the hook. There we go. Started to roll there a little bit. And 3 or 4 wraps is going to be sufficient. Now I'm going to trim off the excess there. Now I'm going to take my wing material, mallard flank this is, or whatever you're going to use, your mallard flank, your turkey, or your mallard quill, or your turkey quill, or your snow goose quill. And I'm going to cut one, and we want that wing to be only the size of the gap. And I can't really get my feather in there with that hackle on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another hook that's a size 16 and grab it in my hackle pliers here, and I'm going to hold this on here. I'm going to touch the shank of the hook to the feather, poke it through, and then run it up. And now there is the size that we want the wing. Now I can trim that off. And then I can do the same with the other feather. Again, take it, touch the shank, poke the point through, and you can see I'm just pulling that right out. Put that on the side so I don't lose that hook. And then we can go ahead and trim that piece off. Now the quills will have that natural curve on there. So we're going to put it in with that natural curve like that way. And this is the same way that you would tie a wet fly wing, but these are not going to be wet. So I put them together with the convex sides together so that we get a natural little split there. And I take it from the front to size my wing up. And that's right about where we want it. So now I'm going to pinch this pretty tight on top. We're going to take a loose loop, bring it down, pull it straight down, and you'll see those fronts pick up. Take another one, pull it straight down, and we're going to see those fronts pick up again. Now I'm going to go back slightly on it. And this remaining area is going to be the space that we put our front hackle in. So now we can go ahead and trim these off nice and close. And you can give it a couple more wraps there to clean up that eye area, especially. And I grabbed a couple of hackles there. That's not going to be too big of a deal. Go ahead and trim them out of there. So we're going to have a hackle in the front there. Now again, I want the proper size hackle, so I'm going to take a ginger hackle. And again, down here, actually right here, you can see an eye hole from the chicken. So I'm going to grab one of those small hackles, and I want one that's a proper size 16 now. Which this is just a barnyard or a Chinese hackle. This one might be too large even. If you have a choice and you can afford it, it's probably better to get yourself good quality saddle hackles. So even this one, yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm going to prepare this one just like it did with the body hackle. Stand them up. And this is a very small hackle, but I only need like 3 or 4 wraps of it. Going to trim this to length. And then again, I'm going to give it the crew cut from this direction. And turn it around and then give it that side. Now I'm going to tie this in, and I'm going to try to leave one hackle fiber exposed, or one crew cut fiber exposed. I'm going to clean that head just a little bit as I'm here. And then I want that thread to be about halfway between the wing and the eye. Now I'll take my hackle pliers again, and we're going to give this a couple of wraps. There you go. You saw that. You can see that crew cut right there. And the reason we give it the crew cut is so the thread has something to hold on to. And especially when you're beginning, you tend to pull a little bit too hard. You'll be pulling the hackle pliers right off and stuff. So just tight. You want it taut, but you don't have to pull hard. There we go. And we're going to put a couple of wraps going forward. Nice tight wraps there. When we get to the thread, we're going to hold that hackle with the hackle pliers at that 90 degree. Even the weight of the hackle pliers is keeping it there. Give it about 3 wraps. I'm going to take my poke and snip again, push the thread away, and remove that hackle. Now there's a couple of hackles sticking out to the front, and they were actually from the previous step too. You can see they're grizzly. Now if you have that situation, take your bodkin or your half hitch tool. Oop, once, twice, and then I turn it as I'm going to keep the tension. and then push those. Whoop, that wasn't good. There we go. We came back once, twice. I pushed that one a little bit too far. Once, twice, just to get them hackle barbels away from the eye. Now we can kind of tighten that a little bit. Now we can wrap that head properly. And I still grabbed a couple of hackles there. Not a big deal. The fish aren't going to be that picky. Take our whip finish, put the whip finish over the thread, come around the camel hump, turn the whip finish up, and you have that X. Bring that X down. Whoop, and it looks like I grabbed a couple of more hackles there. And I'm going to use I'm going to just trim those off. There we go. Take that poke and snip, get a nice close cut of your thread. And I'm just adjusting those wings just a little bit. And we'll take the our head cement, clean our brush off well. And put just a little bit on the top. And that's probably sufficient. You go around the sides and the bottom if you'd like. And remember, if you get any glue or head cement in the eye of your hook, just take a piece of hackle and put that through the eye of the hook. Just like so. That one I don't think is, the hackle's a little big, but that's how you do it. This is a great caddis pattern right here. It's good because we have all of this hackle, and it's good for heavier water when you're fishing more of the ripples. You got a nice ripple there. This is going to stay on top more. You got nice distinct, you got the ribbing, you got legs. You know, the Grizzly Hackle might look like a bit of the shuck, but the front brown hackle will be more like legs. Got the antenna on there, and you got a nice wing division as if they're opening their wings. But I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors and let them know I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase this or any flies that I make, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see the fly that you're looking for there, send me a message and tell me what you want, and we'll figure it out. And most of all, I thank you very much for watching my videos.